I'll go quickly with Joe Shaker from Shaker Auto Group. We have Kevin Frye from Jeff Wyler in Cincinnati, and Karl Schmidt from Hello Automotive. And I don't think we did this intentionally, but like we have an East Coast, a Midwest, and a West Coast representation for our dealer groups. So we'll get started. Karl, if you don't mind, maybe just since I think the crowd would like to know a little bit about the business, how it's going for you in California, just maybe give us a little summary.
I think for the most part, we're doing well. The business is normalizing in California as it is probably everywhere. Inventories are swelling, margins are there's margin compression across the board, both new and used. It's been more challenging, I would say, in the last 6-8 months, getting better in the last 3 months than it has been. Things like our lead volume and those metrics have been flat for 12 to 18 months. But overall, to me, I welcome the normalization in the market because there's some good things as well. Manager comp is coming down. You're not seeing those big bloated salaries. Competition for people has been easier now because of that. So, overall, I think we're just getting back to the market that we've known for years, and that's fine.
I see head shaking. So, Kevin, you feel the same way about the stores in the Midwest?
We've definitely slowed down. And what we're seeing is shoppers are sitting on the sidelines. And the reason why I say that was when the website traffic started declining, we elevated that traffic back to more normal levels with additional spend, but we're seeing 30% less total lead volume. And what that is indicating to us is that people are hesitant to come in and actually convert and transact. So to me, the better question is then, how are we addressing that? And so affordability is key right now in today's slowing market. And we transitioned from more of a brand value message to affordability offers, low APRs, low monthly payments. We're even testing weekly payments right now. Anything we can do to entice these shoppers off the sideline. The last thing I would share that we're seeing is record traffic on our Get Pre-Approval tool, which I think makes sense in these high interest rate market. People are concerned about whether or not they can get financed.
Got it. Joe?
Yeah, I think it's back to normal. When things were going great, I would go to a 20 group, I'd call my friends and I'd say, sharpen your swords, the war will return. And my team members, we'd say that every GM meeting. We have a real early GM meeting on Tuesdays, and so the war's returned. And the reality is we had already been modeling our stores. We don't wait for the shit to hit the fan and then go, let's go through the business model. It doesn't count. I only did it because of you. So, and then we don't go what's nice, what's necessary, which is the standard routine you go through when things get bad. We already were tight, but service gross and the service business is up. So, we've modeled the dealership to still be a high ROS deal in normalized times, but it's not easy. And one of the key things that I thought was said is inventory is back in a big way. Mm-hmm. And I've said it at many times I've spoke. Every OEM we go into, next year we're going to do 10%. Then I go into another meeting from another brand. Next year we're going to do 10%. And I add it all up, it's like a 25 million SAR. And I go, everybody's doing 10% more. It's not going to happen. And so the reckoning is coming right now. And some brands are worse than others.
You just threw out inventory. Just inventory levels, just quick answer, like day supply, what do you have?
Depends on brand. CDJR.
300 days.
Yeah, it's like those guys are really
feeling your pain.
Yeah, the CDJR is
so
tough.
The numbers we're reading are real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, by brand though, you have to pay attention to the brand, very brand specific.
Got it. How about EV inventory?
Aging.
Yeah, I just dropped that bomb.
Yeah, no, so it's different. We have friends here in California, and EVs are just so much bigger than they are where I live, and so EV inventory is slowed, but we negotiate now for EVs. So they go, will you take a few? And we'll say, all right, well, as long as you give us a couple of those. So it's become part of our Monty Hall deal at inventory time.
So, each one of you represent multiple dealerships with multiple OEMs, and that always has a complexity. As it relates to technology, are technology companies helping you with those complexities or making it more difficult? I'm curious. Kevin?
Let me hit it from a different angle because there's a lot of different challenges here, but I'll give one example that I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing. We have over 40 franchises, and we're getting several of the OEMs that want to standardize their shopping experience across Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. By that, they want the same website platform, the homepage layout, the same DR tool, et cetera. The problem is, I mean, for the last 20 plus years, I've been trying to standardize the Jeff Wyler buying experience, right? On our website platform, our DR tool, our tools, et cetera. So this is conflicting. And the challenge it's posing for us is how do we differentiate ourselves from our competition if it's the same cookie cutter approach? So part of what we're looking for is, hey, if you have creative solutions leveraging technology that will enable us to differentiate ourselves in this type of market, we are all ears.
I think to Jeff's point, I'm not seeing a lot of value from the manufacturer partnerships bringing technology in. It's actually more of a tug of war between whose brand are you trying to promote. Even like in our, let me give you an example. In our world, we're one price, one point of contact. So our client advisors facilitate the transaction start to finish like you would in any one point of contact environment. The challenge is even from a point of technology, there's not a lot of technology that supports that through the whole process. Everyone talks about seamless from online to here. Again, we still have disparate systems. We still have a manufacturer trying to do it their way without really understanding what happens on the retail side. So we still are battling with this tug of war on that, even to the point of thing like facility design. In a one point of contact environment, you don't have closed offices. We don't have sales desks. There's no manager, need for F&I offices. Yet, one of our brand partners gave us a point simply because they really enjoyed our theory on one point of contact. Yet, when it comes down to facility design, they're insistent upon closed offices.
Right.
So you're not getting a lot of help. The way they could help is really stepping up with captives and providing that lending solution where you can get approval, a real approval online and contract and paper out online, and they don't even do that. So there's not a lot of help there. There's a lot of new, cool, interesting technology, but it's not coming from the manufacturer, in my mind, really, at all.
Yeah, it's clunky. So in my other life, I have a software company, right? So, and at that company, what we do is we get to the OEMs, thankfully from our, dealer connections, and is we get to them ahead of time and say, don't step on yourself. Let me explain to you what you need to look for. So like with True Video, no one knew what data sets to collect when you're in service. We had to go in and say, here's how it is. And so getting ahead, because there's a lot of people making decisions like this, or they're getting consultants and people that are coming in and explaining things to them, and it doesn't make sense. So it's nice to have a little bit of dealer in the room, a little bit of experience in the room, and share the experiences. You got to get ahead of it. And I see a lot of OEMs are being collaborative to that end. Karl's store, and I don't really know how, you must do a ton of beta testing for the OEs as well at different stuff, but I mean, we're on a good note, the real smart ones, and you'll figure out who those are. They come in and they go, look, we want to run this by you, we want to test this. What do you guys think? And they're building it around some of the processes so that they don't, the experienced OEMs say, let's not come up with an idea that's not executable,
Yep. So, since we're talking about technology, Karl, like any trends that you're seeing, we can throw out the whether it's AI or video or whatever, not leading to Joe's company, but anything that your group is attached to that you go, that's innovative and we're using it.
I mean, we use AutoFi on the showroom side, and they've been a great partner in coming and helping us model to our process. Anytime you have a provider that does that, I mean, I think Dale Pollock and has been legendary for adapting all the time with dealer input. And to me, the technology partners that are really willing to modify, and again, you can't necessarily kowtow to every dealer's whim on a software tool, but the dealers that really take input and feedback, the software providers that are the ones that to me are the most robust partners. I mean, we use Joe's True Video tool, the simplicity of of that approach and the communication platform on that. Our customers love, my team loves. So staying away from the real sexy gadgetry-based kind of stuff that is cool and interesting and is a shiny object attraction to people like dealers that are really kind of succumb to shiny objects is not always the best. I like things that come in that have a simplicity, that really understand what you're trying to accomplish. And there are partners out there that I think are doing a great job.
Well, in Karl's instance, because I know Karl well, they lived in your dealership for like 4 months. That's an integration. Like that's when I'm not a dealer, I need it, and you do stuff like that, and you see a lot of like we talk about all the time, dealers getting involved in stuff like this, either building on their own, like you just saw what Ryan up here, and when software businesses reach out and build something based on everything that's done realistically at a store like Karl, who's always been a leader, is interesting. So there's a lot more integration.
It's a difficult thing to maintain software and continue the development of software to where it's always relevant and functional. And the partners that have come in, AutoFi, they can't sustain their training model they've had with us.
Right.
I probably had 3 months worth of training, but there are other opportunities that they look at to say, hey, how can we maintain this? Because again, dropping the software off, giving you a cursory explanation, and then expecting it to function with a team of folks just isn't really a pragmatic solution.
Kevin, what about Jeff Wyler? Are you guys in something that just gets you kind of tweaked and passionate?
Well, let me share this. We're always beta testing a lot of different things. Of course, 100% online, new car transactions, we're certainly leading the industry. But we're taking a long-term play. And I say this sincerely, I've been preaching this for the last year. I don't think there's been a more exciting time to be in automotive than right now, outside of maybe when the internet came out and websites were being developed. Because we're seeing this confluence of data that we can finally manage with a CDP type of platform, but more important, we can finally execute on it in real time by leveraging AI. And I think we're going to see an unmatched, unbelievable consumer experience in the next 3 to 5 years that we never imagined. So the key thing for us as dealers is that, hey, what is the marketing fuel for all of these great solutions, to include some of the ones I've heard today? And that is our data. So we have put a tremendous focus for 1 year, a project, to consolidate all of our data, really get everything cleaned up so we can take 45 octane marketing fuel data up to 98 octane, because we know that we're going to have a constant flow of great solutions providers coming into our offices in the next few years, and they're all going to have the same question at the end of that pitch. What data do you have to bring to the table? And that's what we're trying to be ready for.
In January, when I did the panel with our investment banker investors, I asked the question, what was, to them, what was the most noteworthy auto tech deal that has happened? I actually asked him in the last year and then the last 10 years. And for me, it was fascinating to hear some of the answers. I'm curious, from a dealer group perspective, is there a deal that's happened, or maybe even deals that's happened, over the last 10 years that kind of make you go, oh, that's cool. Maybe start with Karl.
I think the consolidation of all the different vendors that are out there by some of the big movers like Cox. When you go to the NADA, they've taken up half the showroom. And at some point, if they really get that correct, then they'll have a solution for deals. So to me, that's probably the most exciting. I wouldn't say it's one individual that I'm aware of. I'm not that smart. So my dad always told me, if you don't know the dumbest one in the room, it's you. Here I am.
So Joe, you have an interesting perspective on this, I assume, since you have your dealerships and you have a tech company. Anything that comes to mind, any deal that you point to that go,
Well, I got to go beyond 10 years. The one that I think that was the biggest deal for me in life, and I think for a lot of my friends and in the 20 groups, was vAuto. Yeah. It's beyond 10 years, but that is the stickiest. People would run around with books. People didn't know anything. They made believe they knew anything. I had used car managers that were so full of it. And prices, we'd go in a manager meeting, and we'd say, have everybody appraise across all the GMs. And then and the sales managers, and then everybody would flip over their piece of paper, and the spread of what we appraised the same car from was like 4,500 on a car that was under 10 G's. Like, oh God. right? So with V Auto and that, I think Dale Pollock is probably one of the most dynamic and fabulous people you could ever spend time with, and he's a fabulous listener. So overall, it's past 10 years, but
Yep.
I would say it's him. And yeah, and right now you're going to see some crazy stuff. I think the thing I think, you know, we do at True Video, we started direct to dealer, but we power everybody. So CDK Service You, Reynolds Service Snap, Reynolds CRM, everybody uses our tech. So, and then the AI stuff CDK, you know, uses, and everybody. So what we're doing, it's this one ecosystem that Jay talked about earlier with Techion, is where you see all the legacy DMSs adjusting to that one ecosystem. And that's going to be big, because when I walk around NADA and you don't see Cox and you don't see like these things, you look at all these fragmented vendors and you're like, oh no. And if you have dealers that want a customer data platform, if you want OEMs that want one point of truth on data, boy, is that going to make it impossible. So that is where you're going to see the consolidations, not just to help legacy DMSs. You're going to create one point of truth. Then the OEM and the dealer can collaborate on data that's actionable. That's what I think is going to happen.
We know enough about our customers intuitively and anecdotally to be able to provide a better experience. It just doesn't come out at the time of any transaction, and we don't leverage that really at all. And it's you know, I think to you know, your point, Kevin, that's going to be the big coming of Jesus when it arrives, if you ever get that right.
Any thoughts on transactions?
Well, first, I want to say I thought I was going to be the odd guy out talking about the Cox Automotive acquisitions. I mean, they essentially bought everybody we did business with, and I think they had the mortgage my mother's home at that point. And, you know, that vision back then was they were just trying to get the entire life cycle of owning a car. But fast forward today, I don't know of anyone positioned better with a data competitive edge than Cox Automotive. So from a large dealership group, we look at that, hey, that is something we can leverage across our first-party data to provide that personalized experience. But for the multitude of single points and small dealership groups, Cox Automotive is going to be able to go in and act as their CDP solution in acting that strategy. So I think they're positioned fantastically, and I couldn't agree more on the Viato acquisition too, 100%.
You know, I brought up EVs earlier. I was actually going to skip this, but I'm curious on your perspective, and just make it short. Karl, specifically you, because you live in the land of EVs.
Yeah, I mean, we're in California, so it's, you know, almost 30% of the market is EV. We still have the same problems we do in the Midwest. I mean, I'm partners with Paul and Andrew Walzer. The EVs are, the problem with California is, yeah, there's more adoption, but they also ship a large proportion of all the EVs built to California. I mean, again, they were drunk on chasing Tesla's multiple. I think the manufacturers were, Ford in particular, wanting to separate it out as a separate business, thinking that they're going to be able to do what Tesla did in terms of valuation. It's not happening. They just missed. The hybrids, you know, are going crazy out here. Toyota's 60-some% hybrid in the California market. Then you have brands like, you know, some of our other brands have no hybrid. So, you know, to the point of inventory and disparity, that's, you know, it's still, I mean, California's forward with it, and you can look at a picture of LA in the 70s and see the smog. I mean, is it relevant? Yeah. Will it always be relevant out here? Sure. But driving an EV, you know, even in California, if you're going over a certain distance, you have to really be very aware of where you're going to plug in. You have to do it in a timely fashion, and that's not a short answer, so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Not a short answer.
As somebody who's owned 5 EVs, and I'm not pro-EV, I could tell you about the whole infrastructure, especially in the Southeast. It's
Yeah, and if you
fascinating.
forget to plug in, you're effed and you can't drive home, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
I didn't say the F word, I said effed, okay? So give me a fucking break.
You know what I just realized? You brought up the whole sock thing. I think it was really because you knew that I have no-show socks, and you were calling me out. So,
Yeah.
fuck you,
Yeah.
Steve Greenfield.
Yeah. Rated R version.
I'm trying to not cuss, and you made me do it twice. So hey, here's our last question. So know that this is our last question. No yawns. Only alcohol. Wine, right? Do we have wine? We don't have wine? No, I'm just kidding. I know we have wine. Okay. At Mile One, when we were there, and this is, you know, in the mid-2000s, we actually had a venture arm, much like Holman and other dealer groups. You're seeing that more prevalent now. It was really interesting back then. there wasn't a whole lot of dealer group investment. Actually, we have the claim to fame of passing on HomeNet, so you're welcome, Chase, on that one. Yes. Have you guys thought about, and I'm going to leave you out of this for the second, have you guys thought about making an investment in tech companies? Have you ever had a tech company, auto tech company, come to you to seek investment, Karl?
I'm in the process of that right now, and I've invested in personally in auto tech, but I have one of our partners right now. We're looking at, I met with them last week. They're considering investing in Hello with an investment in their company back and forth to just be able to better leverage the partnership on both sides. So we will see how that goes. It's interesting, and yeah, with the right partners, certainly. Joe,
I'll let you go.
No, you sure?
Yes.
No. So yeah, I invest a lot in private companies. That's how I met my partner at True Video. He was a technologist, very successful guy. I call him the brains of the operation. So that's what started me off. My ideas and business acumen and his tech. But I'm an investor in Automotive Ventures 1, 2. I'm an investor in FM Capital and.
Wow, getting all the ads in. This is good.
I'm just giving you guys.
I don't have that much money, says Joe. So.
Yeah. I don't know.
have dreams, but no money.
But you know what? It was said earlier by people, I just want to see deal flow. I want to see what's happening in the business. I'm really interested. And my joke I always say is I want to die a car dealer. And in order to do that, I have to make sure that we're always up to speed on everything and not get disrupted. And so, yeah, I'm really, really big in it. I believe in it. And, if you have, again, like anybody, if somebody comes and gives you a pie and they go, what is your at-risk capital? And you go 5%. Then you should invest it in some stuff that's a little riskier. And if it's in a space that you understand, Warren Buffett, then like thought process, that's just the way the simpleton up here thinks about it.
Kevin, I'll change the question for you, and then we'll end. If you had money to go and invest in a company right now, where would you place your bet?
Boy, that's a tough one. I'm going to give you a unique answer. Let's put it this way. I think the face of search is going to change significantly. We're used to a traditional directory and backlink type of model. It's going to transition more to an AI, generative chat model. Yep. So then the question each one of you is if somebody does a search and says, hey, Google, who's the best dealership in Cincinnati to buy a Chevrolet from? How do you optimize for that? I think it's going to be a whole new SEO industry to optimize dealerships for those type of questions.
Bingo.
Great answer.
So
thank you so much for enduring a little extra time. And I know all of us will be more than happy to answer any questions in our cocktail hour.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Appreciate it. And just to be clear, the EV does not count as the F word. So we're going to just